Hello students, now I will discuss with you an important topic, salt analysis. This is important for AS practical class. So you will follow this video properly. I think you will get maximum scores in salt analysis, and by this you can determine the cation means positive ion, and also you can determine the anion. By cation and anion you can detect which salt presence, which compound is present. So, and from this video you will also learn what observations you should write and how you write your observations. And this this is known as qualitative analysis, means who is cation present, who is anion present, then which compound you will detect. First, you this 3 point you must read carefully. For every test you should record all your observations. Observation is what you would see, what color precipitate and precipitate dissolve or not, you must mention. And you see, first color change is seen. What color change? This blue or pink or white precipitate, must you write what color you will observe. Then the formation of any precipitate, if any precipitate is formed, you must mention, say blue precipitate, and its solubility, then in an excess of the reagent added. And say if you add sodium hydroxide a small amount of, you see blue precipitate, then you add more sodium hydroxide, blue precipitate dissolve, and blue precipitate dissolve or blue precipitate does not dissolve, you must mention it. The formation of any precipitate, if any precipitate is formed, you write what color precipitate, you first mention that. Then on adding excess sodium hydroxide, this precipitate dissolve or not. If dissolve, then you write precipitate dissolve, and you also write what color solution. If colorless solution is formed, you will write precipitate dissolve and colorless solution is formed. If precipitate does not dissolve, you can write precipitate does not dissolve or precipitate is insoluble. Third point, very important, this 1, 2, this 3 point is very important for salt analysis. The formation of any gas and its identification. If any gas is formed, what gas is formed and how can test for that gas, you must write by a suitable test. So which point you must include? First you see color changes seen, what color, then formation of any precipitate and its solubility, and the formation of any gas and its identification. If say carbon dioxide gas is formed, this fizzing occurs and carbon dioxide gas form, it turns lime water milky. If ammonia gas form, it turns damp red litmus paper to blue. Hydrogen pops with a lightened splint. That means gas name and their positive test you must write. And this salt analysis question, you are given FA6 Fa6 is a copper 2 chloride and Fa7 is iron 3 chloride dissolved in hydrochloric acid, acidic iron 3 chloride. Fa8 ammonium sulfate. So now let's move. You should record clearly what stage is test in a test and observation is made. Where no change is observed, you should write no change. Where reagents are selected for using in a test, the name or correct formula of the element or compound must be given. If any solution is warm, a boiling tube must be used. Arrange and reuse test tubes and boiling tubes where possible. Now you see Fa is copper 2 chloride and Fa7 iron 3 chloride dissolved in hydrochloric acid. So first test 1, you see, add an equal volume of aqueous potassium iodide. So you see here a solution Fa and Fa6 and Fa7 contain one cation and one anion. Every sample contains one cation and one anion. All the ions are listed in the qualitative analysis notes. So carry out the following test using a 1 centimeter depth, small amount, exactly 1 centimeter is not needed. A small amount of Fa6 and Fa7 you will use in every test, in a test tube for every test. Complete the table below. Now you see first test 1, equal volume of potassium iodide. So at first you will take a test tube, then if you take Fa6 I mean copper 2 chloride solution, you take here small amount, then you add here equal amount of potassium iodide. So copper ion reacts with potassium iodide to produce iodine. Iodine aqueous brown, so you will write brown or yellow brown or red brown, but brown word you must write. You remember aqueous iodine solution is brown. Aqueous iodine solution is brown color. So if you write yellow or orange, this actually wrong. You should write brown, as iodine, you know, iodine aqueous solution is brown. So when if you add potassium iodide, I mean iodide ion oxidize to iodine aqueous, so you should write brown or red brown precipitate. Okay, now and excess sodium thiosulfate. When you add excess sodium thiosulfate, you would see colorless solution, or you can write brown color fade, brown color fades, or white off white or cream precipitate, you can write. Okay, then now Fa7 iron 3 chloride. So iron 3 chloride, if you add potassium iodide, iron 3 oxidize iodide ion to iodine. So here red brown or brown solution, or trans red brown what you must write. Any potassium iodide, sodium iodide, if you add copper 2 ion or iron 3 ion, so iodine aqueous will be formed. So the observation will be red brown or brown solution. Then if you add excess sodium thiosulfate, solution colorless solution form. Colorless, you will see colorless solution form. That means in every test in your lab, you write what you would see. First, when you add potassium iodide, you see iodine produced, so the solution turns to brown or red brown. Brown, what must you write? Then test 2, add a small spatula measure of zinc powder. You know, zinc powder is added. If zinc powder is added, so this copper 2 ion, chloride ion, copper 2 ion zinc, displacement reaction happen, copper plus zinc 2 ion. Zinc is more reactive, so zinc lose electron to form zinc 2 plus ion, and copper gains 2 electron to form copper solid. So copper solid is pink brown, so you can write brown pink solid, or you can write as zinc metal also deposited. So you can write black solid or pink solid or brown solid because of copper solid pink brown, and solution become pale blue, or copper ion goes to zinc ion, or you can write blue solution goes to colorless. Blue solution goes to colorless. Blue, or you can write blue solution turns to colorless. Okay, now for Fa7 iron 3 chloride mixed with hydrochloric acid. As hydrochloric acid, so zinc is added. You know, metal if added acid, zinc chloride plus hydrogen is produced. If any metal is added to acid, hydrogen gas is produced. When aqueous solution hydrogen gas produced, your observation will be fizzing or bubbles or effervescence. As hydrogen gas is produced, I told earlier, if any gas is produced and you should write positive test of that gas. So hydrogen gas pops with a lightened splint. This test you must have to write. Hydrogen, as you know, fizzing bubbles, that means metal reacts with acid, hydrogen gas produced. So you need to write hydrogen gas positive test. How? Hydrogen gas pops with a lightened splint. Now test 3, add a few drops of aqueous silver nitrate. So what you will do, Fa6, a small amount of Fa6 you will take here, Fa6 as it is copper chloride aqueous solution. So if you add silver nitrate and you see silver nitrate reagent is test for chloride ion, bromide ion and iodide ion, I mean halide ion test. So as it is copper chloride, so you will see white precipitate, but you don't write cloudy. If any precipitate is formed, you must write precipitate, and you also mention what color precipitate. You will mention white color precipitate is formed. Then Fa7 is Fa7 this also you will take here Fa7, then add silver nitrate AgNO3 silver nitrate. So here as it is hydrochloric acid and iron 3 chloride, so you can write this also chloride ion test white precipitate or off white or cream precipitate, because iron 3 in acid has some a little bit color, so you can see off white or cream precipitate. White, exactly white you can't see because of iron 3 has some color, so white color is disguised marks. That's why you can write white or off white or cream precipitate is formed, but precipitate you must write precipitate. If you write cloudy, you don't write cloudy, you write or if you write white, see, actually what is this, white solution or white salt or white precipitate, so you must mention. And some of you write in your test, I think this colorless. So colorless what? Colorless solution. Clear, you don't write clear solution, you write colorless solution, because some green solution may be clear, but this is a green solution, colorless solution as like water. And so you write white, you get mark, or off white or cream precipitate, you will get marks. Now test 4, add aqueous sodium hydroxide, I mean sodium hydroxide solution. So as sodium hydroxide, you know sodium hydroxide used to take for cation test. So as it is copper 2 chloride, copper 2 ion, and this first you will see blue precipitate, blue precipitate first. If you add, and I told you if any sodium hydroxide or any ammonia solution, first you drop 1 or 2 drops, few drops, then you write what color precipitate. After that you add more, a little bit more, then precipitate dissolve or not, you mention that. So if it is blue precipitate is formed, first you write blue precipitate is formed insoluble in excess, or you can write precipitate, this precipitate does not dissolve in excess sodium hydroxide. And some of you write blue, but this you will not get mark. Blue what? Blue solution or blue precipitate or blue solid, you must write blue precipitate. Then insoluble, if you don't write this line, you will get 1 marks lose. So you write this precipitate does not dissolve in excess sodium hydroxide, must mention. And now Fa7 is iron 3 chloride, and you know iron 3 ion reacts with sodium hydroxide to produce iron 3 hydroxide. This is the brown or red brown PPT. So you will write red brown precipitate is formed or brown precipitate is formed. Then you write precipitate does not dissolve in excess sodium hydroxide, and you must write sodium hydroxide and ammonia solution. If you add, first you add a few drops, then you add more. After adding few drops, you will write what color precipitate is formed. Say here blue precipitate form. Here brown or red brown precipitate is formed. After that you add more sodium hydroxide. After adding more sodium hydroxide, if precipitate dissolve, you will write precipitate dissolve. If precipitate does not dissolve, you write precipitate is insoluble in excess or precipitate does not dissolve. And you know this here copper 2 hydroxide, blue precipitate means copper 2 hydroxide. Copper 2 hydroxide does not dissolve in excess sodium hydroxide, you know, and iron 3 hydroxide, red brown precipitate does not dissolve in excess sodium hydroxide. Now construct an ionic equation for one of the reaction taking place in test 2. Test 2 you add zinc metal copper to ion solution. So zinc is more reactive, zinc gives electron to form zinc 2 ion, and copper 2 ion less reactive, it gains electron to form copper metal. So this is the ionic equation, displacement reaction. Or you can write, as you add zinc metal in acid as iron 3 is dissolved in hydrochloric acid, so H plus present. Here hydrogen ion goes to hydrogen, zinc lose electron, and this is the hydrogen freezing occurs, and this hydrogen pops with a lightened displacement. You can write that. Now you are given Fa8 ammonium sulfate is a salt. Here one cation ammonium ion, sulfate is anion, SO4 negative 2. So now you are asking F8 contains one anion and one cation. This is a salt. One of these ions contains nitrogen. Both ions are listed in the qualitative analysis notes. A1. Transfer a small spatula measure of Fa8 into a hard glass test tube. Heat the test tube gently at a start, then strongly until no further change occurs. Leave the test tube to cool. Record all of your observations. So what you will do, at first you take a hard glass boiling tube, then you take here small amount of Fa8. So if you give heat first gently, then you see as it is ammonium compound, so this decompose, this ammonia gas is formed, ammonia gas will be produced. And you know ammonia gas is alkaline gas, so if you here blue litmus paper, if you blue litmus paper, it turns red. This blue litmus paper turns to red. This gas blue litmus paper turns to red. So what you would see, as ammonium compound if it converted to gas, so sublimation occurs. Sublimation and condensation. Condensation means gas, water vapor, any condense in test tube, or you can write water form. And as ammonia gas, a red litmus paper turns blue. And residue, you can write residue is colorless or white or off white or no residue. If you give sometimes heat, this all decompose. So you can also write no residue left. So any ammonium compound sublimes, so first point sublimation, then you can write as gas. So this 2 point is very important. Red litmus paper turns to blue. So from this test we can conclude that this contains ammonium ion, as ammonium compound if you give heat, then ammonia gas produce which turns damp red litmus paper to blue. Then now to carry out the further test to identify each ion in F8, as F8 is ammonium sulfate, so you don't know what's at first you got this by first test ammonium ion present, so but sulfate you don't know, and record in the table in space below the reagent. You have to write reagent, condition, observations, and mainly reagent and observation you must write for the test that positively identify each ion. Positive test you write. And so first ammonium ion, so you get first test. So now further test, you know, ammonium ion test reagent is sodium hydroxide. So test warm with aqueous sodium hydroxide. Result, ammonia gas produced which turns damp red litmus paper to blue. So this is the further test for ammonium ion. You detect ammonium ion. Then one anion. So there are lots of anion have, you know, sulfate ion, chloride, bromide, iodide, nitrate, nitrite, sulfide, oxide. So at first you will do first sulfate ion test. If you get, no need to further test. If you don't get sulfate ion, then second step you will do chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion. So first you start with sulfate ion. You will do sulfate ion test. You know reagent is barium nitrate test. This is the test for sulfate ion. To a solution of F8, you will take a small amount of F8 solid, as it is solid. Then you add a small amount of water. You will prepare F8 solution. Then you add barium nitrate. After that you add barium nitrate solution, and you would see white precipitate is formed, then which is insoluble in hydrochloric acid. This is the barium sulfate white precipitate is formed. So for confirm test you will add hydrochloric acid. If precipitate does not dissolve, then you confirm that this is the sulfate ion. So you will do must confirm test by adding hydrochloric acid. So if you get white precipitate form and precipitate does not dissolve in hydrochloric acid, so you are confirm sulfate ion. You no need to do extra test, extra anion test. I mean chloride, bromide, iodide, sulfide, carbonate, no need to do. Nitrate, nitrite. So any unknown anion test, you start with at first sulfate ion. If you don't get sulfate ion, then you will do chloride, bromide, iodide ion. Deduce the chemical formula of F8. So F8 will be ammonium, you get cation, anion is sulfate. So F8 will be F8 is ammonium sulfate. Okay, dear students, before starting any salt analysis, so you must follow this video and you write your observation and what you would see first. Then you, after adding more solution, more reagent, what you would see, you must mention that. Thank you dear students. Please subscribe, like and share my channel. Thank you.